Welcome back to the Weekly Driver podcast. My name is James Rea. I'm an automotive columnist for Bay Area News Group, and I publish the website TheWeeklyDriver.com. My friend and colleague is Bruce Aldrich, and today we have a very interesting guest, we hope, and I'm pretty sure we have, because I met his wife briefly in a Starbucks, and she was talking to the guy serving coffee about what she does for a living. They were just having a friendly chat, and her response was, "I own a dump truck," and that triggered my thoughts about, wow, I've never heard that people talk about owning a dump truck, and one thing led to another, and we got a hold of you, and you guys are up in Paradise helping that community recover from the tragedy of last fall. So welcome to our show, Adam Fry, and thanks for being our guest.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Why don't you just give us, if you could, an overview of your company and how it got involved in the recovery of the Paradise area?
Yeah, so I own Big Country Restoration and Transport, LLC. We have Super 10 dumps, and we just added 2 more to the fleet, so we got a total of 3 now. And we're doing the disaster cleanup up there right now. There's 3 phases to it. The first part of it is the cleanup, get rid of all the dirty ash and soil and concrete and metal and the second phase is going to be the underground, getting that done, and then the third phase will be the rebuilding of the houses. So we're on track to, I believe we're going to be done with the cleanup. I'm hearing sometime in the end of October, maybe November, possibly sooner. There was almost 16,000 structures burned down, and we're on the part of it where FEMA is covering I don't know if they're flipping the bill and the insurance companies are paying them back, but we're involved with FEMA on it. There's 3 main contractors on the job. We're working with Argonaut, and Argonaut seems to be one of the better crews up there. We're getting everything done real efficiently and timely. And
I see.
What else would you like to know?
Sure. I hope
a lot of different areas.
Yeah, I hope FEMA
Sure.
pays you back. But I was curious, in your trucks, is that like a medium or large, or what size truck is it?
They're Class 8 trucks, so they have 2 drive axles in the rear, a steer axle in the front, and they have a drop axle in the middle. So one of the requirements on that job is you have to be able to haul 15 ton legally.
15 tons. And
wow.
what is a typical home site up there, would you guess? Is it 4 times that much, or is 15 tons
well, no,
one home
a
site?
home, because they got to dig down, I believe it's 3 to 6 inches of soil underneath where the home was destroyed. It's probably a good 6 loads out of there.
Wow.
6 to 12 loads, depending on the house.
Times 1,700, you said?
I think there's about 16,000 structures that burnt down.
1,000.
I don't know
Okay.
if FEMA's got all 16,000, because there was a lot that was done through insurance, private insurance too.
Sure.
But there is a lot of trucks up there right now. I don't know if you guys have seen what base camp looks like.
Have not.
It's the FEMA camp. There's thousands of trailers up there. They got a couple full court basketball courts. They have a big mess hall. I heard they're putting in 3 pools right now.
Oh my gosh.
It's really impressive to go up there and see it, especially when everyone's in for the night and you can see all the trucks and pickup trucks that are there. There's got to be well over, I'm guessing, 1,200 trucks probably.
Wow. Do you haul these loads to a transfer point, or do you haul them to the end place?
So
and what is that place?
We have our dispatch time in the morning, so we go to a certain job site. Right now we're working with 1 crew, and we get our loads, and they tell us from central dispatch where to take it to. So we can either take them to Wheatland, they go to Neal Road, and I believe it's the ash and soil goes to the Anderson dump.
I see. Knowing very little going into this, there's such a variety of areas I'd like to cover, or we'd like to cover. I guess environmentally, the environmental considerations come to mind for the health of the people who are doing the recovery, and and other things like that, maybe with the people who are still living there, with your colleagues and coworkers and others, is that still a big issue with the effects of the ash and maybe other things I'm unaware of? How much consideration is taken into that, and how careful do you have to be?
Everything is taken into consideration when it comes to the ash, because the ash has all the asbestos and the dangerous chemicals in it.
Yes.
In fact, we have all the guys on the ground that are working on the ground crew have to be HAZWOPER certified, so they got to have their hazmat training.
Wow.
They wear the full suit and respirator, and all the loads are tarped 100% of the time. Doesn't matter if it's concrete, metal, dirt, or ash that you're hauling. So nothing escapes. They're big, heavy duty, 12 mil tarps, and they're strapped down. You have to put so many straps on each side so nothing can get out. Yeah, every truck is GPS tracked. They do not want us making any stops, or if the truck breaks down, they got to know where the load is 100% of the time.
Wow, this is like
it's very, very regulated.
It's almost like you're doing nuclear cleanup or something, huh?
It really feels like it at times. Cal Waste is overseeing the job, and that's a California agency that oversees the disaster cleanup. Yeah. So it's very, very regulated. They know where we are at all times, and the biggest thing up there is safety.
That's great. I'm certainly not making light of it, but when you were describing it, and Bruce said like nuclear cleanup, I thought of one of the movies maybe from the 80s or 90s that were kind of futuristic movies. Andromeda Strain or something like that. So that was my first reference, and of course I'm not being flippant, but that's kind of what it reminded me of. Very, very but potentially dangerous.
There can be a lot of side effects from the chemicals, but none of the ash is getting loose. We don't untarp the loads till we're ready to dump.
Yes.
And then when they go to the dumps, the dumps handle them. How they're regulated to, and believe me, there's people from Cal Waste everywhere making sure everything's handled properly.
Yes.
Because the whole thing up there is safety, safety, safety. And it's not just the chemicals. It's driving safely. It's everything. Every safety aspect you could possibly imagine. Doing the speed limit, stopping for stop signs, stop at stoplights. It's everything.
Gotcha.
They have unmarked cars actually driving around. All the different contractors do. They pay for them, and they just make sure that everyone's behaving properly, following the laws, respecting the other drivers, motorists on the road. Because it can be very frustrating for, a lot of the people in the communities where the trucks get backed up. It might cause them to be late for work, everybody understands that, and everybody wants to get through this as quickly as possible, safely as possible. And, we're really up there just so those, 16,000 families can get back in their homes again. A lot of these people are still homeless. They don't have anywhere to live.
Yes.
Right,
the housing's taken up. If you've looked on Craigslist or anything, try to find a camp trailer, they all get pretty soaked up pretty quick from the people up there. All the trailer parks are full. So we really just want to get these people back in their homes.
Well, that's a good thing to do. I'm wondering how many truckloads a day are hauled out, would you guess, and how many truckloads to go?
Well, that's debatable because I don't know. I work with Argonaut. Argonaut has at least a third of the work up there. And with Argonaut, I'm working through LeVay Transport. They're the prime hauler for them up there. And I think they have close to, I want to say 400 or 500 trucks at least, just on their side alone. Each truck, I'm guessing, is doing between 2 and 4 loads a day. Some of these dump sites get pretty backed up, so there's long wait times waiting in the lines.
Yes.
Even though we're not driving a ton of miles, there is a lot of sitting and waiting up there.
So like more than 1,000 a day, maybe, and This could go on for months, I guess.
I would guess so. Yes.
Yes.
Wow.
You touched on the community, and that was one area that I wanted to touch on particularly. Is this too much of a stretch to mention things like, on one side of the spectrum, is it eerie on any level to be there? Is there some spirituality among the people? Is there a community spirit, so to speak? And again, not in any kind of superficial way, but it was such a tragedy. What are your coworkers and others finding as they're doing this project? What is the atmosphere like, so to speak?
Well, I haven't heard the term spirituality. I mean, of course, we want to, we feel for the people that lost their homes and are displaced. My whole thing getting involved in this was just to kind of help in, the best way we can. And, I have some good drivers driving for me, and it's just all about safety. Mm-hmm. And my drivers are stressed out 24/7. Every one of them tell me that, it's a high stress, you're being regulated, you're being watched. There's a lot of drivers from LA, mm-hmm. for instance, in the Bay Area. And a lot of these guys think they can do whatever they want. They don't need to follow the rules.
Oh boy.
They can, they drive too fast. They will try to cut in line. They do all this stuff. And it really doesn't work that way.
Yes. No, you get into truck driving.
They're weeding a lot of the guys out that are doing that, because people are constantly getting fired off the job. Mm-hmm. But like I said, I work with LeVay and Argonaut, and we've had a few meetings. And the owner of LeVay is Mike LeVay. I've known him for a long time. I used to work with him 25 years ago, I would say. Great guy, and they just keep talking safety. Mm-hmm. And we have to follow the rules. Excuse me, I'm getting a call coming in. I gotta.
Sure, no worries.
Yeah, I was thinking that
into the call.
You don't get into truck or any kind of driving for because you want to be watched by Big Brother every second. You get a little bit of latitude there normally, mm-hmm. but it sounds like not at all in this job.
No, well, they're paying us very well, and they're very fair on the hours and our stop times, and I mean, so it's not like we're not getting well compensated for it, because we definitely are. Mm-hmm. I would say the trucks are making, probably $20-$25 an hour more than they would if we were doing like an asphalt job or something. So
yes,
you're getting paid to have to, deal with all the extras.
The Weekly Driver podcast gets support from AmericanTrucks.com. Visit www.americantrucks.com. How did your company start? Oftentimes we talk to people on our program, or as a journalist, and they've inherited a car from their father or grandfather or brother, and they've gotten into a certain occupation based on friends or relatives being in it. So your area is pretty unique. How did it start for you?
Well, me and my dad, we had a logging and general engineering company. We did a lot of construction, mm-hmm. and we had equipment and trucks growing up. And early 2000s, we decided to hang it up and sold everything off. And I've actually also have a corporate job during the day.
Oh my!
I work for Navistar. Mm-hmm. I help liquidate their used trucks that they get from the national accounts. So it's a well-paying job, and it afforded me the opportunity to get involved in this. I've always wanted to get back on the fires, and my goal is eventually to have a couple more water trucks, a couple excavators, a couple dozers, a low bed to move the equipment around on, and our goal is to help with the fires that are currently burning, to help put the wildland fires out, and then to help with the cleanup afterwards. So that's where the vision for my company is. I do have a partner in the business, and he owns a separate trucking company, mm-hmm. and he's registered with the state as a disabled veteran, so we should get some veterans preference there.
Yes.
When getting called out on the fires. So our goal is just to grow the company. We've already grown it 3 trucks in 6 months. So, there's a lot to be said about that. And we're just going to continue growing.
That's great. Now, you're in West Sacramento, if I looked at your
Yes.
wife's card correctly. And not to step away too long from Paradise, but have there been some other projects that you could share with us that have been, whether it's a fire or something that was a big challenge? Maybe every project's a big challenge.
Well, yeah, you're absolutely correct. Everything in life is a big challenge. I just started a second business. It's called Clean CA. I have another partner on that, and it's a cleaning service that we're offering. Everything is eco-friendly. We don't use any harsh chemicals. We're already booked out for the week. This is technically our first week working since we got the insurance. We're an LLC also. We have a $4 million general liability policy. We do restaurant hood cleaning, driveways, anything you could do with pressure washing, and we do it with an environmental friendly aspect to it. Because a lot of these companies, pressure washing companies, use very toxic chemicals that go down the drain. Yes. And everything we use is 100% eco-friendly.
That's great.
Well, that's good. Hey,
Yep.
You used to drive the truck then, right? You're familiar with truck driving?
Yes, I've driven trucks a lot. I don't do a lot of truck driving anymore just because I don't have time for it. But,
sure, you got
yes.
your hand in the fire at a bunch of places now. I was just curious on those big boys. When you're hauling 15 tons, what's the difference between the perceived feel on acceleration between empty and loaded and stopping distance between empty and loaded? What's the difference there?
It's give and take. I would say going up a hill, you can stop quicker loaded. Going down a hill, it's going to take you longer to stop.
Yes. Gravity.
But you don't see a big
absolutely.
difference? You don't see a big difference. They're just big old dump trucks, whether they're full or empty, huh?
Yeah, well, it's, when you're loaded, you got more traction to stop, but then there's more friction on the brakes because you got a heavier load.
Sure.
So, you're more likely to lock the brakes up when you're loaded and the tires skid. I mean, when you're unloaded, excuse me, because, obviously there's less weight on the truck. But it definitely excels a lot slower when the trucks are loaded.
I would think,
yes. Going back to Paradise, I haven't been there since, the tragedy, but watching television clips and looking at the internet and hearing other stories, have your drivers or other companies' drivers, have you had people discover things that were out of the ordinary or things that just were very surprising in the devastation, or animals, or I don't even...
Yeah. I'm always hearing about, them pulling up animal skeletons, wildlife. There's all kinds of stuff that you could imagine would be in a house.
Yes.
I did do I bidded on a bunch of properties up there to actually do the removal for insurance companies.
Yes.
And I bid them kind of high, so I didn't get any of them, but I figured if I was going to do it, I was going to make sure I came out on top of it. But I probably bid on about, I don't know, 300-400 lots up there.
My goodness.
And
what's the typical price per unit, per yard?
I don't know what they're paying privately because I overshot it. I was bidding them average at about $25,000 a lot to clean them up.
Oh, okay.
And I think I was high about $3,000 to $5,000. But the rates for FEMA are completely different.
Yes.
And I'm not sure what that is, to be honest with you. I haven't been told that information. I think
Sure.
it's privileged.
Yes. What is the people you mentioned, the people who have just been displaced and don't have, they're homeless, and do you have conversations, or do your workers have conversations, and what's the general attitude like, if there is a general attitude about the community? I've seen a few stories done with high school kids and things. Is the community as whole, as far as you know, basically doing the best they can?
Well, they're doing the best they can. They're absolutely not whole. There's strips of businesses that are still intact up there.
Yes.
And, they're catering to the workers right now. But there's a lot of businesses that burnt down, too. There's one retirement home. that I happened to bid on,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it was about 12 to 15,000 square feet. So it was a 100+ unit facility.
Yes.
So that's all those people are out of there. If you went up there, you wouldn't believe it. It is just, there's only a few. If you're driving down a road, there might be a house standing here,
Mm-hmm.
and then everything around it is burnt down to the ground.
Oh my.
And you're just going, how did this house make it?
Yes.
It's just like every so often you'll see a house, but the majority of them are gone. Paradise, Magalia, up and down, Clark Road, Skyway. You're driving in the two main veins going in there for the
Yes.
roads, and just everything's gone.
Is there any major sort of like infrastructure businesses left, like there, grocery store or a gas station or anything left?
There is a few gas stations. I know there's a Les Schwab Tires that's still up. There's a grocery store or two, maybe a couple restaurants. A lot of the businesses made it, but there's, like I said, still a bunch of them that didn't.
Yes.
Sure.
Well, Adam, it's a pleasure to talk to somebody who has knowledge and has been up there and has seen what's going on. And I know it's a business, but it's worthy of complimenting you and your colleagues to taking care of business for people who certainly deserve it. And I know, again, it's your job, but thanks for what you do from somebody who's on the completely outside of the situation. It's been, what was it, last November? So it's been 7 months now, I guess, since it happened. And as you've explained, there's just a lot to do. So thank you for being our guest, number one, explaining what's going on there from your perspective and your job, and thanks a bunch.
I appreciate you guys having me on. And on a quick side note,
Sure.
If you would like to put up some pictures on your website,
Yes.
I would be happy to text you. I got a whole bunch of pictures of what the area looks like, and if you just want to see what it looked like after the fire came through there, so people can kind of get an idea of
That'd
the
be
magnitude
great.
of
Yeah.
it. I would be happy to text you some pictures.
That would
Thank
be
you.
thank you for that offer. And yes, we would, and we would get the word out, of course, on your business, and reciprocate in any way we can help, as if you needed our help. But you know what I mean. It's kind of one hand washes the other. So we'll be happy to promote and tell people what you have going on, of course, with our podcast and my website and so on and so forth. So thank you for that offer, and we look forward to seeing them. And thank you for being our guest again on the Weekly
Adam.
Driver podcast. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Okay, take care.
right.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye now.
All right, thank you.
The Weekly Driver podcast gets support from AmericanMuscle.com, your late model Mustang and F-150 authority, bringing you the hottest products and top-notch customer service for over a decade. No one makes it easier to modify your ride. Visit AmericanMuscle.com today.